Hello, everyone. It's been a while, but it's time to get back into it. I'll be talking a little bit Tottenham today, a little Tottenham talk. I planning on talking a little bit about the EFL Cup of yesterday, as well as the upcoming two games, big games coming up, Huddersfield and Barcelona, as well as the media portrayal of the team so far this season. And I want to start with the media because I find it very interesting and confusing, to be honest, of how the media portrays teams. Um, a lot of the websites out there, they're just clickbait. They're just garbage. Here is the city is one of those. I will every chance I get will tell people not to click on that website. It is absolute garbage. It's this the most ridiculous nonsense website I've ever seen in my life. And the most obnoxious thing is that every time you just search Tottenham Hotspur, it's like out of the 10 top search results, 7 of them will be that website, and it's all like fans react to Dele Alli's shin guard design. It's just the most stupid stuff you can imagine. So, I actually, when I do my Google searches, when I'm looking stuff up for Tottenham, I actually do a subtraction of here's the city, so I don't get any of their results ever. And I get, you know, you get it's a grab bag, it's a mixed bag of whenever you're talking about the media. On a slow day, you're gonna get garbage articles, and then I usually just like to look at the preview articles and the post match reaction ones. Otherwise, you're just gonna get, I don't even know how to put it. It's just they want the clicks. I understand that, but you know, it used to be. I don't know. I'm not even gonna get into it. It's dumb. The media is dumb. It's really dumb. But specifically, the first 3 games of the season against Newcastle, Fulham, and Manchester United, can't really say Tottenham played particularly well in any of those games. Particularly at Newcastle, we looked sluggish. We started really slow against Fulham. And we were very fortunate against Manchester United not to be down like 5-0 at halftime. Thankfully, Lukaku is a garbage player, and he, couldn't score on an empty goal. So we managed to get out of the first half 0-0, and picked it up in the second half and blew them away. But it wasn't a clear cut kind of thing where you could say, like, look at the score line. We totally dominated that game. Not so much. We had closer losses, and I would even put the Liverpool game. We actually put up more of a fight and had more dominance in that game than we did in the Manchester United game, particularly in the first half. But the point of this is, during that time, the media were like, Tottenham grinding out victories, not playing well, getting some lucky rolls of the dice, something that we weren't really used to. For Tottenham, there's the whole being Spursy, being put under pressure. We went down early against Fulham and against Newcastle, and came back. And against Watford in the EFL Cup yesterday, we went down early and came back. So the media were talking about how maybe the era of Spursiness is over. We're winning ugly, and that's important. Fast forward 3 games after that, Watford in the Premier League, Liverpool, and then Inter Milan. And it was a completely different story. Those first 3 games were no longer Tottenham grinding out games. They were lucky to have won. It's the same exact scenario. Tottenham played poorly, but were lucky to win, versus Tottenham ground out a result despite not being at their best. It's just that how quickly the tune changes. It's just, I don't understand. Yeah, the media will turn on you the moment they sense a sign of weakness. I mean, they do it to Jose Mourinho all the time. More deservedly with him because he's an absolute butt face. But it's just funny to me. So if I were to say as a fan how I felt about those 3 games and then the following 3 games, I would say we played poorly. We played poorly, and we played I won't say bad teams, but we played 2 weak teams, and we managed to beat them because we were better than them. And even despite being bad at soccer, we managed to beat them. And against Manchester United, it was just luck. They were extremely wasteful in front of goal. As I said already, Lukaku, if he were a competent striker, would have at least put one of those 5-6 attempts he had away. And then the game would have been completely different. But he didn't. You can blame... obviously, it's his fault because he's the one with the feet that is not hitting the ball in the proper spot. You can blame Mourinho for his tactics. You can blame a lot of things. But at the end of the day, the entire team was just not up to snuff. And they let us get away with it. And then the second half, we did not let them get away with it. That was the difference in the game. They were wasteful, we were not. And that's how it ended. I'm not saying we were like vastly superior to them. We just finished our chances, and they did not finish theirs. And that's the end. Sometimes that's the end of football. Like, you get one chance, you put it away, the other team get 12 chances and not put any of them away, and so you win. And that's that. The other 2 games, the game after that against Watford was just abysmal. It's one of the weakest performances I've seen Tottenham. One of the weakest displays I've seen since Pochettino took over. It was just bad. I didn't watch the Champions League game. I was actually in class, so I did not see it. But I did see the entirety of the Liverpool game, and again, it's like the media were not watching the same game. The first 15 minutes of the Liverpool game, we were absolutely getting run off the pitch. I thought we were going to lose by, multiple goals. But then after that, we completely shut them down, completely dominated the midfield. And I said this, and I wish I hadn't said it. I don't believe in jinxes. If you've been listening to us for a while, I don't believe in bad luck or anything like that. But I completely jinxed it because I said to somebody, as long as we don't gift them a goal, they're not going to score. Because they were poor. Liverpool were bad after that first 15 minutes. They were giving the ball away. We were swarming them defensively. Even when they had their famous trademark breakaways, they were misplacing passes. Like Mo Salah was making a bad pass to Sadio Mane and just not delivering the balls that we're used to him delivering, and making the wrong decisions, passes behind other players, passes out of bounds. Like, you don't see that very often from Liverpool, but that's what was happening. They were just not playing well. And then we gifted them a corner kick, and that was that. And it was probably a minute and a half after I said, as long as we don't gift them a goal, they're not going to score. We were poking and prodding. We didn't look very dangerous ourselves. It's not like I'm saying we would have scored 8 goals or something. But out of the 2 teams, the only team that looked likely was us, because we had the ball, and we took it from them every time they had it. And they didn't look good. They looked bad. And even after the goal, they didn't look good. We had the ball. I think the 2-1 scoreline was more than fair. A fair reflection of the game. You read in like Liverpool should have, Tottenham were lucky they didn't get beat 5-0. Like, no, you didn't watch the game. Like, you can't have come up with that conclusion after seeing the game. Even the commentators during the match were talking about how dominant Tottenham were being during the game. So it's just ridiculous. It's just absolutely stupid. We deserve to lose. If you can't defend free kicks and corner kicks. That's that. Tottenham prided itself in being the best defensive team in the country since Pochettino took over. In his first 3 seasons, we were the best defensive record, the best defensive record, and the third best defensive record in the Premier League. His first three, no, his second, third, and fourth. What was his first 3 seasons? 3 seasons in a row. I don't remember. I don't think it was the first, because the first season we were there. Yeah, he was there. We didn't do well, but it might have been that first season. But the point of the matter is, for 3 consecutive seasons, we were number one, and number 3 defensively. And this to have our first what was that? First 3 goals of the season, first 4 goals of the season, all come from headers. It's just not something that we had been used to as Tottenham fans. Not since Pochettino took over the team. And I mean, I saw some of the highlights of the Inter Milan game, and it looked like we had some good spells of possession. From what I've read, we had some pretty dominant play, and then that world-class goal followed by a collapse of the team, and that was that. To lose a game like that in the last 10 minutes of the game is just kind of demoralizing. But we definitely needed a bounce back moment, and we really didn't play well against Brighton. It was another one of those moments. To be fair, the conditions were terrible. Neither team really played well. It was a monsoon out there. I haven't seen a game with that much rain in a long time, but that's not the point. The performance, there were sparks of that Tottenham that I know and love, the Tottenham of last year and the year before that, where it was silky smooth, blistering pace, absolutely unstoppable football. And then there were moments where it was more like Watford, not like we were Watford, but the Watford game, where we were just kicking the ball side to side without really any clue of what we were trying to do. But Lamela has been amazing in his last 5 games. I think 5 goals, 2 assists. That's amazing. He's done brilliantly. I don't know if Pochettino keeps him as a super sub or if he actually starts him against Huddersfield, but he's been a hero, absolutely. And this Watford game, it was some of the same kind of stuff. The first half was just incredibly boring. It was an awful half of football. And then, it just kind of turned it on. The penalty kick kind of gave us the momentum, and then, Lamela's, that pass by Moussa Dembele was just on point. And then Lamela just kind of took care of business. I do want to say one thing, though. There were 2 penalty shouts in favor of Tottenham in that second half. The first one was Dele Alli going down in the box. And, my first instinct when I first saw it was it's not a penalty. He went down too easy. And that's not good. When I, a Tottenham supporter and a big fan of Dele Alli, immediately assume that when he goes down, he's faking it. Of course, the replay showed that it was a foul. I thought the red card was incredibly harsh. But I shouldn't, as a fan, as an actual fan of the team, start doubting the players when they go down. To me, that means he goes down too much. And I've said this in the past. I've been highly critical of Dele Alli. He goes down way too much. He needs to grow up a little bit. He needs to stop that. Thankfully, the referee was in the right place and called the penalty. I thought it was... it was whatever. It was a penalty. The second one was a few minutes after that. I thought it was more of a penalty than the first one. They didn't really show too many replays on the feed I was watching, ESPN Plus. But it seemed more of a penalty shout than the first one, I think. But that's not important. Had a little bit of bad luck with that Etienne Capoue goal bouncing off Ben Davis' back. who, by the way, has not been very good this season. And then penalty kicks. So you have to give it up to Gazzaniga, who when we bought him, I was like, whatever, another keeper. Vorm's a perfectly fine backup to Lloris. We're not going to need this kid. And who would have thought that he would be a hero like this? He has been playing lights out. I feel much better. I think we're going to keep him long term. I feel much better about if Lloris leaves or gets injured long term or moves on in his career or retires, whatever happens. At first I was, like, what are we going to do? Lloris has been one of the best keepers in the world. I would put him in the top 5 for the last 5-6 years since we bought him, really. And so it's hard to replace a person like that. Just ask Manchester United where they would be without De Gea. So we definitely needed a backup of the same quality, and I think that's what Gazzaniga brings. Saving 2 penalty kicks like that. The first one was weak, but the second one was really good. So I'm very happy with him. He's still young for a keeper. So he's got room to grow, but man, I'm very happy with that. It's hard to say that if Vorm had not been in the goal, we would have won those 3 games, or at least not lost them, maybe tied them. I don't know. The 2 goals against Liverpool, though, I don't know. The first one, going over the bar, over the line, over the goal line, after he missed his punch, I can't really fault him for that because I feel like Hugo Lloris is not really that good at controlling the air either. So I could see Lloris doing something like that. The second one, though, that's harder to defend. Maybe Gazzaniga doesn't let either of those in. Who knows? It's not important anymore, though, because the point is the so-called mini crisis that the media was calling it is over. It's over. Now we can focus on the future. So I think the main point that I want to make is the formation is just not working out. I think that's part of the problem. I feel like Harry Kane is being crowded out. I think that's part of the problem, why we're kind of being impotent in front of goal. Like, Lucas Moura is a phenomenal player, and he's been a revelation. And between him and Lamela, they're our 2 best players right now. And neither of them can. I think you play Lamela and you play Lucas Moura, especially since apparently Christian Eriksen is hurt. So I think right now you have to play Harry Kane up top by himself. The 2 striker system is just not working. It's not working because, like I said, Lucas Moura is just crowding out Kane. He's not in the positions he's normally in, and he's not scoring the goals he normally scores. So I think Kane needs to be up top, and then you play the 3 fluid Eric Lamela, Dele Alli, and Lucas Moura right behind Kane. Obviously, Wanyama and Harry Winks are not 90-minute ready yet, but you got to play. I guess you play Dembele and Dyer right behind them. And do you play 3 at the back against Huddersfield? Do you need 3 at the back against Huddersfield? I don't know. Maybe play Vertonghen and Alderweireld, and obviously Serge Aurier is hurt, so that's a problem. So you play Ben Davies. No, you play. It wasn't Ben Davies. You play Rose on the left, and you play Trippier on the right, and that's that. I think that should be the lineup, and I think the whole let's play with 2 strikers experiment just needs to be put to bed, because I think that's part of the problem. I think that's a huge problem, actually. That's about it. I do want to say one more thing for all those of you out there who listen and know that I hate Chelsea. I hate Chelsea with a fiery passion that emanates from my very core. But I'm going to say this right now with a straight face. None of you can actually see my face, but I'm saying this with a straight face. That goal, Eden Hazard's goal against Liverpool in the League Cup yesterday, was just out of this world. Just unfreaking believable. The freedom he's playing with now under this new system that Sarri is employing, I have to say, and nobody tell Anthony I said this, but frickin' Eden Hazard, I think, right now on form, is the best player in the world. He's just unplayable. You cannot stop him. He's playing absolutely lights out, and it's not something I like to see. It's scary to think about. I think, if you had asked me after the Chelsea-Newcastle game, I would have told you I think Liverpool's going to wipe the floor with Chelsea. Because even though Chelsea won that game, I thought that was a really bad game. Chelsea did not play well. I know they tied West Ham last week. And yeah, that was another really poor performance by them. But if Hazard is on his game, if you give him even the slightest space, he's going to destroy you. And I'm not really sure how West Ham got away with it. As soon as he came in the game, he just completely... I mean, I didn't watch it. I can't say that I watched it happen, but knowing that, Liverpool were wasteful in front of goal and that Chelsea got an offside goal that shouldn't have been allowed, still, the moment, when you have a player like that on your team that can change the game, that's really something. You have a... I don't know who it would be for us, because last year was Son. I thought, Harry Kane was an old, reliable Harry Kane, but Son would do stuff and just change the course of the game. And anytime he was running at a defender, you thought he was going to run by him and score. The stuff that he did last year was phenomenal. And then you have your Eden Hazards for Chelsea. You have Mo Salah for Liverpool. And I think when you have a player like that on your team, it can make all the difference. Because at that point in time, it could have gone either way. You go to penalty kicks. It's a lottery, like Mourinho said when they lost against... who do they lose to? The Goats, the Billy Goats, the Rams, the Derby. Or Derby, yeah, Derby County. So, he's right. It was a lottery, and you lost when you put Phil Jones on the sheet. But that could have happened to Chelsea, Liverpool if they went into penalty kicks. You never know what's going to happen. And same thing with us. When Etienne Capoue scored the equalizer, I was actually very worried. I was like, here we go. That was it. We're demoralized, and we're gonna screw it up. But again, it's a lottery. You never know what's going to happen. Penalty kicks are like that. But at that point in time, Sturridge hits the post or the crossbar, and you never know. If he scores that, the game's over. Maybe, I don't know. But Hazard scores that goal and changes everything. And I think, obviously, neither team played with their full squad, but neither team really played their academy youth players. They both took it seriously. Tottenham took it seriously. Manchester United took it seriously. These were... Yeah, they were depleted squads. We didn't play with Eriksen or Harry Kane. They weren't even on the bench. But that's not to say we didn't have a good squad. We had a solid squad, and these the teams, they took it seriously. So I don't know. This makes me question everything I thought about the Liverpool Chelsea game coming up this weekend, where I really thought Liverpool were just going to wipe the floor with Chelsea and just run them out of town, especially at Anfield, especially in a cup. Liverpool have won more League Cups than anyone else with 8. And I just thought they were going to do it. I really did. I thought they were going to do the double on them, to be honest with you. And now I'm not so sure. Especially after Chelsea tied 0-0 with West Ham. So, after watching the West Ham-Chelsea game, I really thought Liverpool were just going to laugh them out of town. And now I'm not so sure. It's going to be interesting. I'm actually very excited for that game. it seems like every weekend there's at least one big, really fun game to watch. So I'm pretty excited about that. And hopefully Tottenham can get something going. I really hope Pochettino listens to this podcast and makes the changes I'm suggesting. I think he needs to play Harry Kane up top by himself, and then play three midfielders behind him, the two that we usually play with behind them, and then probably four at the back. I think that would be the best case scenario against Huddersfield. Presumably they're going to park the bus. I don't know. I don't remember if I've watched them play this season or not, so I don't know anything about them, other than I don't think they're doing so hot this season. And thankfully we have a really, I would call it an easy run coming up. So we already got Brighton out of the way. Now we got Huddersfield, and the next two games after that are winnable too. Of course, with Barcelona sandwiched in between. But that's what I'm looking forward to this weekend. I'm looking forward to see how Pochettino handles not having Eriksen, who's going to start in goal. Like the latest news I'm reading right now, Hugo Lloris might play against Huddersfield, but Gazzaniga is perfectly capable, I think. And I want to see how long Pochettino sticks with this two at the top. I'll say it again. It doesn't work. It's not working. It doesn't work with Harry Kane. Harry Kane needs to be the man up top. And Dele Alli makes runs into the box, and so does Son, and so does Lamela, and so does Mora. But he can't be up there in his place. It's not the same thing. Making runs into the box, it's not the same thing. Look at the goal that he scored against Fulham. Mora came in from out of the box on the right side and came in and scored. He wasn't in Kane's spot, though. That's the thing. Like, I don't know. I think Kane scores goals when he's the focal point of the attack, not when he's one of the two focal points. You can't have two focal points. That kind of is not the definition of focal. So I think Harry Kane needs to be the focal point of the attack and have the three players in the back, whomever it happens to be, Eriksen, Lamela, Son, Ali, or Mora. You have five players that are perfectly capable of playing any of those three positions interchangeably. It doesn't have to be, strictly Son on the left, Lamela on the right, and Mora in the middle. I mean, you can if you. It doesn't matter. Like they can be fluid. That's the beauty of it. But it has to change. I think that's the big point. The big point is it doesn't work. It hasn't worked so far. I don't know. It just doesn't seem like we have the same attacking potency that we did last season. And I think that's why. I might be wrong. I mean, I'm just some guy talking about soccer into a little microphone on my laptop. So who knows? I don't know what I'm talking about. But I just kind of see it when I'm watching the games. I'm kind of looking at it, and I see it not working out. I don't know how long he keeps doing it until he realizes it doesn't work. Or maybe he sticks with it until the bitter end. I don't know. But anyway. And then the other thing I'm very much looking forward to is that Liverpool-Chelsea game. It's going to be a cracker of a match. I will be at the Horse and Jockey English pub right here in South Pasadena watching that game. The local Liverpool Supporter Club chapter, St. Petersburg chapter, makes its home there on the weekends. It's always a good time. Not a Liverpool supporter, obviously, but they always make you feel welcome after kind of telling you to bugger off when you first walk in with your Tottenham shirt. They give you a hard time, and then they welcome you. So it's always a good time to watch games with them. They make it exciting at the very least. Yeah, that's where I'll be doing this weekend. So hopefully Tottenham continue their winning ways, and the best case scenario for everyone would honestly be if Liverpool and Chelsea just draw 0-0. That would be nice. But yeah, so thanks for joining me for this episode, and we'll catch you guys next time.